we can start with that Penn State game. Yeah, I thought Penn State in West Virginia was a game that was very sloppy early, obviously. Aller didn't look great early. I'll say that too. Like I had a lot of questions about what he would look like, and that's kind of why I liked West Virginia in this game. And the at the end of the day, Penn State's running backs just too much. West Virginia had to settle for field goals too many times. Penn State drove down and scored a couple of times, and they were able to capitalize by getting the ball in the end zone. West Virginia wasn't able to do that, right? They had to kick field goals. They settled. Had they scored touchdowns, right? If you add touchdowns instead of field goals, it's a different game. It's a different game around. You can't play the if game. But I thought both teams played sloppy. Penn State certainly deserved to win. I mean, they won. They ended up being a blowout on the road. But if you finish drives, right, and that scores 14-13 instead of 13-6, West Virginia, if they could finish drives, could have been up. And then you look at the fact that then you also gave up a touchdown at the very end of a half off of a couple of beautiful balls by Drew Aller. I gave Aller, I didn't really give him crap, but I just didn't know that I was ready to buy in fully. I mean, he looked great yesterday. Now, you do kind of wonder how much has West Virginia's defense improved from last year to this year. I know they had a lot of changes. I know they had a lot of stuff going on there, but you kind of wonder big picture how much they've improved. I think they'll get better as the year goes on. So I'll probably say this 4 times in this video. Don't overreact to week 1 just too much, right? Certainly don't want to do that in the Florida-Miami game. Don't want to do that in the Clemson-Georgia game. You got to take everything with a grain of salt until you get a couple of weeks in and you really know a little bit more about these teams. And so I don't know that I'm ready to crown Drew Aller as a Heisman candidate just yet, but he did look really good at times yesterday. He made some elite throws, some on-target precision passes that were really, really good. And he was – I thought Green played fine. Aller was great. He was the difference in the game. Penn State's running backs really, really good. Gary Green, I didn't think played poorly. Again, they just got that Penn State defense is legit, and they play the brand of football that is like, hey, you might get down to the 20, you might get down in scoring position, but we're gonna bow up once you get across that 50 and then inside of the 30 and you kind of get into the red zone of the 20. We're not going to let you score there, and they did a really good job of that, and that's very reminiscent. Like James Frank, that doesn't surprise me at all, right? Like they play hard-nosed defense, and West Virginia just never really found it. They never really found the ability to capitalize, right? If you can convert into touchdowns, if you don't fumble the ball away, which Penn State had fumbles too, but if you don't fumble the ball away, if you convert into touchdowns, if you don't give up the score right there at the end of the half, like little things that you need to do, that's a game at halftime. And then there's the long delay. And once the delay happened, they were already up big, and Penn State just kind of salted it away. So I thought West Virginia had their chances to keep the game close. I don't know that it would have mattered in the end. I don't know that they would have seriously had a chance to win the game. And that's no shot at West Virginia. Penn State just looked like the better team. And they were, right? Like it didn't just look like it. They were the better team. And Penn State looks like they might actually be a threat this year, right? And we say that yearly. They ended up falling to the Big Two in the Big Ten. But we'll see. Penn State certainly looked impressive to me. Going on the road, having some mistakes early. Morgantown is certainly not an easy place to play. Going on the road, having some mistakes. They stepped up to the table, or stepped up to the plate, whatever cliche you want to use, and they took care of business. And so, shout out Penn State. Good performance. One of the better performances yesterday against what I think is going to be a good team. West Virginia has to rebound, right? Like you've got a tough Big 12 schedule this year. It doesn't set up easy for them. They want to improve on last year's season, and that's not going to be easy to do. And so they've got their work cut out for them. We'll see how they do in the Big 12. I'm not ready to write them off just yet. Again, they were really close. They won't see many defenses like that Penn State defense, but they were close to keeping that thing competitive. Just couldn't finish well enough. I think they'll finish a little bit better when it gets to Big 12 play. I think they'll score more points. I think they'll be more competitive. I think the defense will get better throughout the year. We'll see. Not trying to overreact too much and say that West Virginia's season's done or Penn State's a playoff team just yet. But Penn State plays like that 10, 11 more times, they certainly will be a playoff team.